The committee will come to order without objection. The chair is authorized to declare recess of the committee at any time. The hearing is for the purpose of receiving the semi-annual report of the Bureau of Consumer Financial Protection. I want to thank Director Cordray for coming today to appear before us and to acknowledge that votes are expected through his appearance today. We will ask for your indulgence. Mr. Director, I've been informed by the cloakroom, though, that the next vote series will hopefully consist of one vote. If that proves to be true, then we will not have to interrupt the hearing, and we will hopefully find some way to take turns here. I wish to also inform members the Director has no hard stop of time, so he is making himself available to all members. I now recognize myself for 3 minutes to give an opening statement. The CFPB undoubtedly remains the single most powerful and least accountable federal agency in all of Washington. When it comes to the credit cards, auto loans, and mortgages of hard-working taxpayers, the CFPB has unbridled discretionary power, not only to make those less available and more expensive, but to absolutely take them away. Consequently, Americans are losing both their financial independence and the protection of the rule of law. The Bureau is fundamentally unaccountable to the President, since the Director can only be removed for a cause. Fundamentally unaccountable to Congress because the Bureau's funding is not subject to appropriations. Fundamentally unaccountable to the courts because Dodd-Frank requires courts to grant the CFPB deference regarding its interpretation of federal consumer financial law. Thus, the Bureau regrettably remains unaccountable to the American people, and that is why we need CFPB on budget and led by a bipartisan commission. Mere testimony is not the equivalent to accountability. I was struck by a comment made by one of my Democratic colleagues who argued during our committee's markup of our budget views and estimates that the Bureau needed to be protected from, quote, the whim of whoever are the legislators, unquote. I would remind all of my colleagues that the legislators, quote unquote, are chosen by the American people under the provisions of our Constitution. Powerful Washington bureaucrats must answer to the American people, not the other way around. I find it most ironic to hear any Democrat arguing against democracy. I'm reminded of a warning by author and theologian C.S. Lewis, who said, quote, of all tyrannies, a tyranny sincerely exercised for the good of its victims may be the most oppressive. All of this, once again, begs the question, who will protect consumers from the overreach of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau? Free checking has been cut in half. QM increasingly stands for quitting mortgages as community bank after community bank finds they can no longer offer mortgages to many of their deserving customers. Now we're to the subject of overdraft protection. I heard from one of my constituents, Tamara from Athens, Texas, in the 5th Congressional District, quote, I wish to keep the overdraft protection. I should have the right to choose. And that's really what this debate is all about. Protecting the right, the fundamental economic liberties of the American citizen so that we can seek economic growth, they can find their financial independence. True consumer protection requires access to competitive, transparent, and innovative markets, vigorously policed for force and fraud and deception. True consumer protection empowers consumers and respects their economic freedoms to make important, informed choices free from government interference and fiat.